Hey guys, it's Chris. If you don't love the color of your bike, a graphics kit, obviously a great way to go. I'll show you how to install a graphics kit and how to swap out some of that plastic to really punch up the color. At the end of the video, I'll share with you a discount code that'll get you 10% off Rival Ink, which is the brand of graphics kit that I'm installing here today. Just a footnote, I ordered the kit as just a regular citizen. I customized it. I actually added YZ250 to the forks and the front fender, and I got it in under 2 weeks round trip. So I did pay for it. They sent me a proof before they went ahead and printed it, the whole deal. So I had a good experience with it. Having said that, I'm partway through the install. I'll show you some clips on what I've already done. Let's take a look at what you're gonna need. You'll need a heat gun. This is a 1600 watt heat gun. I don't use it on full power. It's like 3/4, so probably 1200 watts or 1000 watts is all I'm really using. The next thing that you should have is some sort of surface cleaner to clean the plastic. This is especially helpful if your bike's not brand new. If you can't get a hold of a surface cleaner like this one, alcohol will work, but then you're gonna wanna use a 90% alcohol, not a 70%. There's typically, you have to search a little bit more to find the 90% stuff. And then the last piece is an application fluid, which gives you more time to mess with the decal before it sticks down into place. So definitely a huge help so that you can get things positioned and then maybe repositioned, and also helps to work out any air bubbles that you typically get. So definitely discourage you from trying to put the graphics on dry or using Windex or something like that. I know there's a lot of folks who use other methods. I feel like a dedicated fluid that's meant for this job is gonna work well for you, give you good adhesion when you're all done, but also give you a nice workability while you're working on the kit. And the last piece that you should have is some kind of a squeegee, not very expensive obviously, but it just helps on big pieces. It helps you push out all the bubbles, that kind of thing. You've got a hard edge and a soft edge, and so these come in handy. And then for the tiny nooks and crannies, you're gonna use your thumbs anyways. And now that we have everything we need, let me take it back and take a look at what we've already done so far. So with virtually all this bodywork, it's an 8mm hex head ratchet. So with the front fender, there's large washers, and there's also these inserts, which you're gonna have to transfer to the new white front fender. You get the screwdriver underneath it, and then just wiggle it out. They're not in there that hard. So this plastic is brand new, but I'm using the surface prep. So next thing I'm gonna do is warm up the decals. So it's soft enough to contour to the edges and the grooves. So I'm lining up the very tip of it so that I know it's straight, and then I'll work my way out to the sides. So that's really good. There's a groove here that it just sat right down into. Until I warmed it up again, this piece wasn't sitting down properly. So I want to line up the two graphic to continue that line along. It's pretty tricky to do. You kind of have to play with both decals there so that they can kind of meet in the same spot. And then where they overlap, just make sure it's warm enough so it sticks down. All right, so that's what I'm looking for, is just to carry that line straight through. I mean, looking at it, I might just take a razor blade and trim it in a straight line along the crease here to follow the contour of the fender. Might make more sense. Not really sure why they curved it out here. Feel like that should just hook back, just a soft curve. All right, so this can go on the bike because I can do the rest of the work on the bike. So I'm gonna put those washer grommet thingies in there and then get it fastened back. It's important to note on number plates, if you're changing them out like I am, you want to remove the rubber bumpers, and of course you'll want to reuse the clip nut on the new plastic and make sure you've got any metal grommets switched over as well. So occasionally you'll find one of these don't fit in the hole on the aftermarket plastic, in which case you need to file it a little bit to make it fit. Fortunately, on this set of plastic, I've only run into one that didn't go in with some pressure. I mean, usually if you get a screwdriver or something, you can kind of force it in. This one is resisting, so I'm gonna make the hole a little bit wider and then we should be in good shape. And we're good. And a little bit of cleaning fluid. make sure, even though the plastic is new, I want to make sure there's no residue. It's quite a bit curved here, so I'm going to try and line it up at the bottom here, stick it down, and then let it just fall down from the heat. It'll just get soft and just collapse down here, and I'm just going to need to make sure I don't capture any bubbles as I go around the top edge of here. But with enough spray applicator fluid on here, I can always pull it back up again if I need to. All right, so using this leading edge, I end up right where the crease is. The hole's in the right spot, and it's not hanging off the back or anything when I lean it back this way. So I'm gonna warm it up and squeegee it out and just kind of work it this way and try to keep bubbles out as I'm going. And anywhere it goes around a sharp corner or comes near an edge, you wanna make sure it's nice and hot so it's stuck down. There's also a bit of a beveled edge here, which I'm gonna need to make sure this is warmed up and stuck down, because you might not notice it because it's just a slight little angle, but all of this is basically sticking up right now. And so with the Rad Shroud, it's gonna be 2 pieces. So it's gonna be a little bit of wrap around the front. I'll try and get the leading edge to line up somewhat, and then just use those as reality check in the back. The idea is if I warm that up with some heat, I can get it to sit right down. It's a little heat, it just easily folds over the edge. So that's kind of what you're after. So a general rule, you want the plastic to be at least room temperature. So if you've got a cold garage, you're gonna wanna bring the plastic inside, or you're gonna wanna heat that garage before doing this kind of stuff. So with this piece, I want to try and get these two, the top and the bottom, as close together as I can. So I'm using that hole as a target. Squeegeeing out towards the back, and then I'm going to do the same going out to the front. And I want to make sure it's soft, but I don't want to make sure it's too soft, because then it can fold and stretch and deform. So that looks like it wrapped around all the corners properly, all the edges, everything's sitting down. This looks like it's straight. If I stick down the middle piece, give it a little heat. So you just have to warm it, work it out, warm it up, and work it, and keep working it until it's totally stuck down. I can see there's a bit of a bubble right there, so I'm gonna have to warm it up a little more, stretch it into the groove, which is gonna bring this in. And same on the other side. Just want to make sure it's stuck all the way down. It's not stuck down in here. So just need to keep applying heat and stretching it until it's all the way stuck in the groove there. And then I need to make sure it's warm enough to fall over this beveled edge properly. And sometimes, as I said before, your fingers sometimes you just need to be able to push it with your finger so you can get good grip and move the decal in the direction it needs to go. And for this decal, I want to go as close to the edge as I can. And you can see by just giving it a bunch of heat, once you've stuck down that edge and you've got it straight best you can, it just kind of collapses right onto the surface. So you just have to be super gentle, again, because it does get kind of stretchy if you give it a bunch of heat. In the kit, they include a swing arm decal, and you can get it two ways. You can get it clear, or you can get it with a gray background. The advantage to the gray background is if your bike is not brand new, you can see my swing arm is in really super good shape. So I can use a clear one and it's gonna stay looking really good. But if I had a bunch of scuffs and wear and tear showing, the gray one is a nice way to cover that up and make the bike look newer. So if you're getting ready to sell a bike, that's definitely a plus to have the gray background. And for the swing arm, I'm gonna warm up the swing arm so that I know it's not cold, because metal obviously can be quite cold to the touch. So with my tin snips, I was able to trim this back about 1/8 of an inch, and now it runs from the one weld to the other weld, and it's not doesn't have to sit up on the higher surface here. So I'm more confident that it's gonna stay in place. The tricky part about this one is there's a slight curve to the top and the bottom edge, and you just have to make sure that those get stuck down, or the decal will obviously get dirty underneath and start peeling off. This other decal that goes at the bottom of the fork guard, which it's going to go over a lot of grooves. There's grooves here, there's grooves here, which I think could potentially make this a little problematic. But I'm just going to put a ton of heat into it so that's as soft as I can make it, so that hopefully it will get stuck down in all those grooves. I especially don't want it hanging off any of the sides, because that'll spell disaster in the long run. And then once it feels like it's roughly where I need it, then I'm gonna warm the heck out of it. I'm just using the hard edge to make sure it's all the way pushed onto the surface below. You have to be super careful with it because you have to heat it a lot to get around all these edges. And then just make sure as you're pushing it in that you don't deform the shape of it. But that looks like it's stuck everywhere it needs to be stuck down. That's good. I think that'll survive just fine. All right guys, so that's it for the install. Graphics kit looks great. The bike is much better with bright plastic, bright graphics. Looks like we're going racing. As compared to the stock bike, there's no comparison, right? Tons of graphics kits for you to choose from. It was cool that the guys at Rival Inc. offer to give you all 10% off if you use my discount code. I'll flash it on the screen. I'll put it in the information below, and I might even be able to put a link in there. So take a look for that. Really easy guys to work with. I customized a couple things on the kit. You can change some colors. You can change what's written on there. They're super flexible for that. At least they were with me, and they didn't know me when I submitted my order. So I'm building the 250X to be a kind of a woods cross-country race bike for guys that aren't pro riders. And so hopefully if that's you, there'll be a few tips you can pick up along the way to get some ideas on how to make your bike easier to ride, faster with less effort. And at the process, I guess today we're making it look cool at the same time. So super glad you dropped by. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.